welcome back to the 7 Points Podcast. I'm Suraj. I'm joined by Rishi and Lakshya, and we're going to be giving a preview on the World Test Championship between New Zealand and India. That's coming up on the 18th. Supposedly, rain is in the forecast in Southampton for all 5 days, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But you never know. It's England summer, so
Yeah,
have to deal with it.
let's just pray the rain stays away. I think this is what we've been waiting for 2 years now since this format has been introduced, and it's exciting. Clearly the two best teams in the world. I think it's fairly established these two teams have deserved to make the World Test Championship final, and it's going to be a battle of the best. It's going to be played in neutral conditions, which is something we don't get to see too much in Test match cricket. No home advantage, but New Zealand are coming off an excellent series win against England, a 1-0 victory, and India are coming off of having played really strong Test cricket in the last 6 months with great series win in Australia and England. But they are coming in with no practices, just a warm-up match among some stuff that is still going on at the moment. But yeah, the match starts in a few days. What do you guys think?
New Zealand is going to have the advantage having played 2 Test matches?
It's in England. So, Suraj, whatever you're saying, just remember, absolutely none of it will come into play because this test is getting rained out.
That's fair.
Let's just hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, no, I do think New Zealand have the advantage.
Just the fact that the openers did so well for New Zealand, or at least Conway did well. Yeah. Facing a Duke's ball that's supposed to be swinging a lot. It's the toughest to play. I don't know, the experience that New Zealand gained against England, playing against England. Anderson, probably the best swing bowler there is. I think that experience will come in handy.
It will.
We'll see.
Plus, all the New Zealand bowlers are in form. Their 5 fast bowlers and their spinner are in great form. 4 out of their top 6 batsmen got runs in this series as well. Got Ross Taylor got some runs, Nichols got runs, Conway got runs, and Latham got some starts here and there. So they have plenty of batsmen in form in these conditions, but you can't. It's a completely different skill set that the Indian team brings, and they're a quality side, and we've seen that their second 11 has been able to be Australia overseas, so it's very hard to count them out.
I'm scared because the second 11 could just have been better than the first 11. I don't know, because if you with the likes of Kohli out, and then it's kind of scary not seeing them play a solid Test match, and I'd feel more comfortable honestly playing the second team right now.
Really? I disagree.
Personally.
I think.
Wait, what?
The way they were gelling was just
time out.
Not overall.
This isn't really irrelevant to the convo.
I know. I just wanted to say it. It's fine.
Okay.
But
let's not talk about that though.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you want to pick up then?
Because I was just talking about how strong India was. Their second 11 that's not happening. Half of those aren't even in the squad.
No, I know it's not happening. I just didn't feel confident in the first 11.
Oh. India do sometimes take time to adjust to conditions, though. We've seen they've lost the first Test match of overseas series a lot, and New Zealand having 2 Test matches under their belt in these conditions will definitely feel like they can take, especially with the Indian batting. They definitely probably feel like with the ball seaming around their quality of seam and swing bowlers, they definitely can feel like they could probably rip apart the England batting. But it's two very good pace bowling sides we got here in both India and New Zealand team, and there's quality batsmen, and so it could. And if with rain in the offer, I do anticipate a low scoring final. That's something I'm fairly confident going to happen. I predicted this for the England-New Zealand series, and which wasn't necessarily true. New Zealand racked on runs. There were a couple centuries scored in the series, but
low scoring. Yeah, still
it wasn't that low scoring for England series. Usually, it's England's batting sucked, but that was not like the pitches were green seaming wickets. New Zealand bats scored runs. So, but I could see this series with the Indian batting not getting any warm-up games on here, and the quality of Indians bowling attack and New Zealand's bowling attack being a low-scoring series. Lakshya, what do you think?
In all honesty, there's one question that is probably the biggest thing in my mind right now, which is, firstly, if this is going to be a low-scoring Test match, right, as we kind of expect it to be with the rain forecast, overcast conditions, etc., is India's lineup technically better by that much more than the 2018 variant that got absolutely humiliated by Sam Curran, Chris Wokes, James Anderson? Because if not, if we see the same weaknesses with the same bat pad gaps, the same uncertainty on whether to play on the front foot or the back foot, by not knowing where your channels are outside off, if that's the type of thing that they put up, this New Zealand team's going to make very short work of them.
Well, if we're gonna look at the players, it's the same number 3, 4, 5. It's still Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, and obviously Kohli was excellent in that series.
He was amazing.
But the opening pair is completely different. It's
we know Rohit and Shubman Gill
gonna open. There's two options at the second opener is between Shubman Gill and Mayank Agarwal. Shubman Gill is obviously the incumbent, but he's had a lean trot since the Australia series, and Mayank Agarwal was harshly dropped, to be blatantly honest, from the opening position. But otherwise, the other difference is now Rishabh Pant is more established in the team as the number 6 batsman, and now India, back in the England series, they were playing Pandya as all-rounder, and
that's not happening this time. Obviously, they're probably going to play Ashwin at 7.
No, I think Jadeja's going to play at 7, and Ashwin.
Actually, that's true.
I think
Jadeja at 7, Ashwin at 8.
Since 2018 is when Jadeja started his surges in batting, but now is at a point where India are very confident about Jadeja's batting.
He can play as a pure batsman. I mean, I think he would walk into many teams as a specialist batsman alone, and easily. Very fairly so.
India played the extra batsman Hanuma Vihari, but Hanuma obviously played really well to draw that test match, but I think Jadeja's actually a better batsman than him.
I agree. I think he scores better.
Option, so
yes.
I'm not even looking at his bowling right now because he's obviously a top 3 spinner in the world.
But in selections, he offers more. So
yeah, there's much more. Yeah.
So the talk is, but with the rain forecast and it being England conditions, would you play Ashwin as well? I think if you're gonna pick one spinner, it has to be Jadeja because of his batting value. But
I think what I would ask
also play.
I think what I would ask is I'll flip the script and say you're already going to pick Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah, right? I don't think there's any debate over that.
There's definitely a debate about that.
Ishant I have a debate on.
There's
a question between him and Siraj.
You really think they're going to drop Mohammad Siraj or Ishant Sharma for Mohammad Siraj?
There's been rumors that Indian team management are going to do anything to bring Siraj into this team.
Really? Well, that'll be interesting because
having been on Twitter for the last 2 weeks, just reading about this.
In general, I try to stay a little bit away from cricket Twitter.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with Siraj. Is a fantastic bowler in these conditions, in any conditions in the world. He's a fantastic bowler.
He's a great bowler, but Ishant has been one of the biggest swingers of the ball over the last 3 years. Almost nobody gets more swing than him in terms of just degrees of swing. So it's important to note.
Do we agree that India should go 2 spinners, 3 fast bowlers? Before we have the fast bowler debate, are we going Ashwin at 8, or are you picking another pace bowler?
I think that's actually a better conversation to have. So let's figure that out first. Are we going to go 4-1 or 3-2?
So let's remember one thing. Ashwin is the top 4 pace bowlers in India. Bumrah, Ishant, Shami, and Siraj all cannot bat. That's just like pretty well established. Ashwin is way better batsman than them. So are you going to take Ashwin's batting value? Because I think the main debate of why India want to play 2 spinners because their 2 spinners are way better batsmen than pace bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, their 2 spinners could go into most teams as a number 6 or 7 batsman and not seem terribly out of place. So,
and there's also, now that New Zealand brought Devon Conway into their team, New Zealand are now fielding 3 left-handers in their top 5, Nichols, Latham, and Conway. So having Ashwin bowling even in England conditions to left-handers is definitely an exciting prospect. So that's why I think Ashwin has to play at number 8. I'm playing 2 spinners. I think that worked well in Australia, right? They played Ashwin and Jadeja. Nobody likes to play finger spinners in Australia. It's the worst places to play, but those 2 showed their class. They both averaged under 25 in that series. So I would definitely be playing both of them.
I would say here, honestly, number 1, it's not like Southampton is a terrible place for a spinner to bowl. And number 2, it's not as if Ashwin just gives you 10 runs more per innings than Mohammad Siraj. He gives you 20. And that's a pretty significant difference. That's 40 extra runs, arguably, per test with just his batting. And I don't think Siraj or Ishant, 2 of them, if you're picking 4 pacers, I don't think the 4th pacer would bowl enough to mitigate that difference in batting. Because of that, I would go 3 pacers, 2 spinners.
So that has been the successful model for India. But here, okay, so let me bring another pacer into contention who, while is not as good as the top four, had an excellent test match in Australia, and he bats as well as Ashwin.
Don't tell me you're bringing Shardul. Really?
He's the only India cannot play four fast bowlers, and they cannot play that for those four fast bowlers. You cannot have Ishant Sharma at 8. I think he's probably he'll bat 8 if we bring 4 fast. I don't think that's a possibility. If Shardul Thakur bats at 8, he's the proper number 8. Would you look at that? That's out of the box.
I wouldn't. I think the gap, putting him in his first test match in England is the World Test Championship final, and having him play the role of a quasi all-rounder, I don't think so.
He did it
against Australia. India right now can bat till 7.
He did it in Australia because no one could walk in that team.
But he did it.
Anyone with two legs
7 wickets and 60 runs. Has not changed that series.
If you and I were in that squad by some miracle, there would have been a good chance of us playing. That's how injured that India team was. They're not picking Shardul Thakur.
I know that's true, but the performance was there still, right? He's the best batsman out of any Indian fast bowler probably currently.
Congrats. That's an extremely low bar to clear.
But do you need that? Do you need that though? Because if you can bat till 7 and then maybe 8 with Ashwin, right? You don't really need that extra batsman. You go for these strong bowlers.
True. I mean, obviously the bowler we're picking is the best spinner in the world. So I do think I'm just offering theories. I think
there is another advantage with picking Ashwin, which is that you get a lot more overs in.
Yeah.
And in a test where time is going to be the essence as well, given how much rain is predicted, I think that's an angle that you shouldn't necessarily ignore.
But the thing is with the rain, so 2 days ago, before I knew about the rain, I was convinced on my line of having Ashwin at 8. But when rain coming in, that usually makes spinners pretty ineffective. Like, if you remember when the only test match that India got destroyed in the 2018 series was that second test, they picked 2 spinners, and it rained so much that it was just seeming conditions, and India looked like fools having cool.
That's correct, but part of the reason that India got destroyed is because Ashwin couldn't bowl. He had a side strain.
No, the second test match, he did not have a side strain.
I think he wasn't, as I recall reading, he wasn't playing completely healthy there.
That was the 4th test match. Second, because he played the 3rd test match and bowled really well. Second test match, India got bowled out for 100 with Jimmy getting 10 in that game. There was no assistance for spin that match. It was a pure seamless deck. So I'm just anticipating a match. If rain is again in play here, would spinners even be useful?
I think Ashwin is a much better bowler now than he was in 2018 to begin with.
I mean, Ashwin still had a great series back in 2018 as well. Like, let's not forget, he nearly won the first test match for them. So
he did, but his impact kind of tapered off
because of an injury, not because of his skill.
So to look at the other side now, who do you guys think has the better bowling lineup between the two sides?
New Zealand.
In these conditions, New Zealand. Overall, India, because it's not even like we don't even.
Well, yeah, but this is being played in England, in Southampton, so.
Right.
I mean, if there's any assistance to spin, it's India. Like Ajaz Patel's not even close to Jadeja or Ashwin, right? So,
But looking also at the pacers, I think New Zealand has more options and variations to the pace bowlers. Because
I don't know.
You have your left arm.
It's a lot closer than you think. I mean, if variations mattered so much in pace attack, India wouldn't be the number 1 team, right? With their bowling attack, because it's all right arm pace bowlers, right?
That's fair.
That pair, the top 5 pace bowlers India have are all right arm pacers.
But right? I think that leads to the success for New Zealand. That's why they're so high up on the table, right? I mean, because you have your Wagner, and then you have your giant with Jamieson, and then your 2 swing bowlers, 1 left arm and 1 right arm.
Bolton Sally, right? Exactly. I think it's really close. I just wouldn't dismiss it to be just New Zealand. And if I'm not dismissing it, if I'm not saying New Zealand, you know that means a lot because I'm the New Zealand fan here. But yeah, I do think I'm gonna say New Zealand only for one reason. There's only one thing that Indian bowlers have always struggled with, especially overseas, is they're knocking over the tail. New Zealand bowlers do that way better than the Indian bowlers, and that is really vital because that literally is the reason India lost in England last series. They couldn't knock over the tail.
I will twist the script on you a little bit here though, and say that this Indian bowling lineup is far more mature and far more potent than the one we saw in 2018, and they did not have the same persistent difficulty per se in knocking over the tail in quite a few of their recent matches.
I think in Australia they still struggle to get rid of Cummins, Stark, Lyon a lot.
This tail is significantly weaker than that, and they made pretty short work of England's tail.
I'm not sure about that.
England's they don't have a problem at home because the spinners can do it, but I'm talking about their fast bowlers. They struggle against tail all the time. Like I don't think they've improved that much from 2018. No, they struggled against New Zealand themselves in 2020. The Jameson scored, Wagner scored runs, Southey scored runs. Bolt hit 40 plus against India in this Indian bowling attack.
I think I was referring more to the India-England series as my point of reference. There's a couple games with fast bowlers had some pretty decent games.
The Indian fast bowlers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. No, Bumrah and Ishant are really good at that series. They average under 25. But that's because they got rid of top order batsmen very easily. Like Cook didn't score, Root didn't score, Stokes didn't score. But Curran scores, Woke scores, Broad scores. That was the point of difference in that series, right? That's how Curran flipped 2 test matches around when England were 120 for 7 twice. But and this is an issue that the Indian fast bowlers have always had, which is the only reason why I'm putting New Zealand bowling attack over them, because dismissing tail is a vital part of bowling.
The opening spot, I know we briefly mentioned it, but we need to also look at KL Rahul, right?
Because KL Rahul scored a century in the warm-up match is the only reason I had to look at him, but I don't think he's an option here. He hasn't played a test. He hasn't played a test match in 3 years, so I don't think they're going to consider him. He's just in the squad.
Could he come in for Rahane or something? I don't know. I don't like Rahane being in the squad. He seems like the weak point here, but
I don't like Rahane being in the squad either, but they're not dropping their vice captain for the World Test Championship final.
I figured.
They're not dropping Rahane, not in English conditions, and he's the highest run scorer in the World Test Championship for India, which I was actually shocked to hear, but he actually was the highest run scorer.
Okay.
Just I didn't think he was that good outside of that, because when I think of Rahane, I just keep thinking of the Melbourne 100, and that's all he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's the highest run scorer in what?
The World Test Championship.
The World Test Championship for India.
What?
For India.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was Rohit or Mayank.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah. Yeah, about the Suraj debate, I forgot to mention this. If Suraj has to replace a fast bowler, if India or Dad has to bring in Suraj, I'm not dropping Ishant to Boomer. I will drop Shami before Ishant.
I would drop Shami.
I think no, I don't agree with that, because Ishant and Suraj are sort of very similar bowlers. They both take the swing tactic, and I don't know. I like Shami because he'd like.
It's
different.
Get a lot
it's
more
a different
bounce though if he tries, and we've seen him do that to great effect before.
I mean, so does Suraj. His balls do carry.
And there's 4 left. There's 4 left. There's 3 lefties in the New Zealand team. Ishant loves lefties. Shami averaged 38 in the England series last time, and he was the one who was picked apart the most by tailenders. That's why I would put Suraj. I'm not saying put Suraj over Shami. I'm having Suraj as 12th man for this test match, but I'm having these 3 fast bowlers. But if I have to drop a fast bowler, it'll be Shami, not Ishant. I don't know why people are saying Ishant should go for Shami or for Suraj.
I think purely because of his performance in India. I know his average was low, but if you look at that, what was the award he got in the test match? I forgot the 100 test matches or something. In India.
Yeah, he played 100 test matches. Ishant.
Yeah.
100 tests.
Right, whatever that test match was, he wasn't playing that well. He wasn't taking wickets. At least he would come in, he'd bowl the first few overs. He wouldn't take the wicket.
That was the pink ball match. That was a 2-day. That was a match Joe Root got a fifer. What pace bowler was going to take a
so
wicket?
Everything's skewed. Yeah, everything's skewed then.
I'll get it. Dude, Joe Root and Jack Leach opened the bowling over Jimmy Anderson and Archer. Obviously, Ishant was not going to get a wicket. He didn't bowl.
Different conditions, but I think that's where the argument is coming from, that he should be dropped and Suraj should come in instead.
Oh, I doubt it. I think it's just Suraj is in the form of his life right now, and they don't want to miss it out. And he's a seamer.
I mean, he brings energy to the team, so
I think Suraj will get an opportunity in the India-England series. There's 5 matches. I don't think they'll play 3 fast bowlers, right? The entire time. I think Suraj will definitely be there. I think even Shardul Thakur might get an opportunity in that series, but for now, I think it's gonna be. You just have to, for the final. You have to go get 3 fast bowlers who have taken you to the final. You know.
So, are we taking punt for granted right now? Just saying that he's going to be scoring and his keeping is going to be perfect.
Well, no. We're just saying that he's going to be picked.
Yeah, no, he's going to be picked. I get that, but in terms of performance,
Will Pont do well? Is that what
yeah,
you're asking? I mean, we haven't really talked about who would do well yet. So
yeah,
I mean, I hope. I mean, yeah. I mean, he did. He has a century in England, so he knows how to play in these conditions. This is second series. He's been in a very good test match form. But New Zealand have a great bowling attack, and they could definitely work him out. Be interesting to see how he goes.
and
There's
I
no.
mean also behind the stumps is also what I meant.
I think after watching him keep in the England series at home, I'm not too worried about Rishabh Pant's keeping. I think he's a
Fair.
quality keeper now. It's not easy to keep in England, but it's not too difficult. He's not going to really miss too much, you know.
Yeah.
Might concede buys here and there, but I don't think it'll be a point of difference. I think. I think for me, the key player here for New Zealand has got to be Tom. I think Tom Latham is going to be the key player for New Zealand here. He had a decent record against India, and against England, he made it through the new ball almost every innings, but he didn't get that big score that Conway or Henry Nichols or Ross Taylor got. He got like 20s every innings, and I think this might be the match where he truly comes to play. If he could thwart first Ishant with the new ball, who has a great record as lefties, and then be able to play Ashwin well, I think Tom Latham can be the point of difference for the New Zealand team because he can really safeguard and he can provide that protection for Kane, Ross, Henry to play their games later on. So he's my point of because he has an amazing record in all formats against India. He's always scored against them.
Right. What's pretty scary as like and as an India supporter for this match, at least for me, is looking at that middle order or from 2 to like 5 for New Zealand. They all scored 80s in that England match in the second test series. So that's pretty kind of scary because like if you can't take them out and if like they're all consistently scoring at that rate, that's all they need, right?
Yeah.
And they don't need anyone else to score.
I have a good feeling BJ Walding has one final innings left to prove before he retires, you know?
Yeah.
It's gotta and it
no,
actually
but as you said, he only shows up when like he's like absolutely not needed. When New Zealand's doing really well, that's when he scores it big. And then
no, you said it wrong. You said it wrong.
Did I?
When New Zealand need him the most and nobody else is doing well, that's when BJ Walding scores. If India reduced New Zealand 30 for 4, BJ Walding will score.
I said that wrong. All right.
If they're 330 for 4, he will not score any runs. Predictions. Who's the better team? Who do you guys have winning this match? If we get
it's gonna be a joint trophy.
Let's say there's no.
Pick a side that's favored. No copping out like that.
Yeah.
India.
New Zealand.
India.
I'm going with spin. It's gonna be a dry pitch. Ashwin and Jadeja are gonna have the time of their life. It's gonna spin, and they're gonna take out Ashwin's gonna take out the left-handers. Jadeja's gonna take out the righties.
You know, normally it's Prasan doing the contrarian takes here.
Like, this is some like garbage takes here.
I have to make up for it. Come on.
Oh, I think I'm like after watching the England series, I'm pretty well set on how New Zealand and India play each other. India will beat New Zealand in Asia, in Australia. New Zealand will beat India in New Zealand and in England. I think based on how their batting and bowling fares, I think those are the conditions that favor each team more. In fact, I think the ideal neutral ground for these teams would be South Africa because that's a combination of Australia and England. But in England, I think New Zealand are a better team. And it's their records show it. New Zealand have not lost in England now since 2013. And India have lost. India's series record against England is 4-1, 3-1, and 4-0.
You want another trash take? I think there's going to be more Indian fans in the stadium, so hence India's going to win.
Okay, that's
my logic.
Yeah, listen.
Pujara's
sure worked out great for them in the World Cup, didn't it?
Clearly, yeah.
Oh yeah, that is another interesting point. We have two teams who have been denied World Cups now, right? New Zealand made 2 finals, a couple semifinals. India made every possible semifinal and final in the last 8 years and have not won anything. So we're finally going to see unless it's a joint draw, one of these teams are finally going to have a trophy for themselves. That's at least one thing I'm looking forward to.
A draw would be interesting because both sides will be pissed off.
Yeah.
I don't think both sides, the entire world will be pissed off. I'll be pissed off.
You know,
They
this is
gotta
one of
play
those
like
things where I really wish
like a
the ice
3-series
was
match,
on the
right?
roof.
I think Robbie Shaw should mention
Yeah.
that this should be a three
Yeah.
series match. How can you
It
have
should
one
be.
test match to decide this?
I mean, to be fair, logistically, it's hard to plan. I think Jeff Allardyce said, right? Like it's hard to block out an entire month that
Just
far in
take it out of
advance for
the
all of the
like
teams there.
take
Could
out
have
the
take out the England
exactly.
New
Take
Zealand
out the
series.
2 New Zealand and England series. That's it.
Yeah, if it was just India versus New Zealand 3 matches,
Yeah.
it's not difficult to plan. I mean, yeah, England gets denied some matches at home, but that's their fault for not making the finals.
Yeah.
Okay. Top run scorer for each team, top wicket taker for each team. Who do you all got?
Rohit for India, top run scorer. For New Zealand, I want to pick Conway purely just based on form, but that's probably not going to be the case. Wicket taker, it's going to be Saudi for New Zealand, and let's see, India. I'll go with Ashwin if he plays.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with leading wicket taker for India will be Bumrah. And I think leading wicket taker for New Zealand will be Trent Bolt.
And runs?
Runs is tough. I mean, I think all things said and done, just backing quality, Kane Williamson for England and Virat Kohli for India. I don't think there's.
Sorry, Lakshya. England's not in the World Test Championship final. I know that makes you sad, but it's New Zealand.
You know what I mean.
I know. I just wanted to stress that your team may give a minded.
Kane Williamson for New Zealand and Virat Kohli for India.
Okay, so you're going with the 2 basic picks.
I am, but let's go a little bit. Let's go a little bit out of left field. If I had to say, none of those big guns. If I had to pick, I would say probably Devin Conway for New Zealand, and I would say for India, the point of difference player after Virat Kohli could actually end up being Rohit Sharma.
Okay, so you both went Rohit Sharma. Interesting. Okay, I'm going for the wickets. Ishant for India. With the amount of lefties they have, I think Ishant's going to clean up a few batsmen. For New Zealand bowling, I think Tim Southee. I think Tim Southee has always taken wickets against India, and he's actually in career hop. He's kind of like Jimmy Anderson. He's doing better as he gets older. And after having a good rest, after taking 9 wickets, I think Tim Southee's going to have some fun. I think for the top run scorer, I think for New Zealand, Tom Latham. I've already said that he's going to be the point of difference. I also pinpointed Tom Latham to be the man of the match for this game. And for India, I'm gonna go with the basic pick of Kohli. I think we're gonna get a Kohli 100. If it's not too crazy conditions, I think Kohli's gonna get that 500 that's not happened in a couple of years. Is gonna be in the World Test Championship final. I can see that happening. If not Kohli, then maybe Rahane. Maybe Rahane will just show why. Because once we're starting to doubt Rahane again, so he might just make us undoubt him again.
It's gonna be fun. Hopefully, it doesn't get rained out. That would just ruin all of this. But all right, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give us your predictions for the World Test, whoever the champions are. Yeah, if you want to appease to Rishi and please him, obviously pick New Zealand. If not, pick India. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll probably see you for like another random topic next. But yeah, what's up?
All I'm gonna say is I won't be happy. I'm not gonna be happy. I'm not gonna be sad about whichever team wins. At least
me neither.
Yeah,
2 deserving teams, 2 best teams in this.
I just want to see a winner.
Series.
I kind of just want to say a winner now.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
The thing is, I keep saying I'll support New Zealand, but the second I see the Indian team on, it's just gonna be like, oh, because like I saw the semifinal live, right? Like the World Cup semifinal, and I was like, I'm supporting New Zealand, fuck India, and I went there, and like the crowd was all Indians, everyone's cheering so much. I was looking at Kohli for the first time, and I'm like, oh my god,
nice.
I have to support my team.
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, that wraps it up. We'll probably see you for just another random topic and then like a recap of the World Test Championship. Hope you guys enjoyed and see you soon.